Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Peace and blessings. It's your boy Jay Taylor, Voices for the Voiceless. Hope everybody is having a great Tuesday coming off the Memorial Day weekend. Man, I worked 7 days last week, Monday through Sunday, and I had Memorial Day off, caught up on a little bit of rest, and I got a chance to get on the grill and barbecue for the week. Had some good weather. I really appreciated that. But the only downside is the holiday and the weekend just wasn't long enough. but anyway, man, just wanted to chop it up. I haven't done any content in a couple days, and I thought this would be a good opportunity to, while I'm sitting still here at work. But I was watching a video from Chat with Me, Linda B. So shout out to Linda B. And as the title says, my reaction to Roland Martin calling Chicago Flips Red movement a bunch of sellouts. Yeah, I seen shout out to Danny C. That's a part of Chicago Flips Red. She Linda B played a clip of her responding back to Roland Martin and basically, challenging him to come to Chicago and see the conditions in Chicago. And I thought that was a good response. But before I get into that, I want to talk about this situation that the media has not spoken about. That is something I saw on a righteous perspective earlier this morning. So shout out to Wise over there at a righteous perspective. And there was a situation on May 2nd, a very unfortunate situation where a young lady by the name of Larisha Thompson, 40 years old, a black woman that was unalived by six illegal immigrants. So the situation was Larissa Thompson was on her way to her friend's house to hang out with some friends on May 2nd, and a car pulled on the side of her trying to rob her. And I guess she tried to, of course, get away. And then they shot the car up and ultimately unaliving Larissa Thompson, who was a mother as well. Very sad situation. They caught all six assailants, and come to find out, three of them were underage, and I believe that all of them were not supposed to be in this country. And it's very interesting that the media is not covering this. It's a sad situation, man. Like, why would the media not be covering this? Because trust and believe, if she was unalive by a white person, it would be all over the media. You know what I mean? It's this double standard because it don't fit their narrative. And when we talk about illegal immigrants, now imagine if those six assailants had gotten away, and then there's no documentation, no paperwork on these people, and they just fled the country. That's their family wouldn't get any closure or any justice out of that situation. Just very, very unfortunate, right? And that kind of leads to what I want to talk about with Roland Martin and the offer that she gave, that Danny C gave to Roland Martin. Like, how can you call this movement Chicago Flips Red, which, if you don't know, those are the ones that go down to the city council meetings that have been confronting Brandon Johnson about his uh, obvious prioritizing of illegal immigrants to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars, that we are hundreds of millions of dollars to the fact that we are in Chicago in $1 billion deficit. The black community is being neglected while illegal immigration has been prioritized. So, no, I would say that Brandon Johnson is the sellout for ignoring the black community but prioritizing illegal immigrants. And that's why you have a situation that happened in that Larissa Thompson, that happened in Lancaster, South Carolina. I forgot to mention that. It happened in South Carolina. I think I forgot to mention that. But this is part of the issue. It's not only safety reasons. You know, you got an influx of people that come into the black community, soak up all the resources. Some of them commit heinous crimes because they come in unvetted. It ain't about no racism or nothing like that. No, Chicago Flips Red movement is trying to get the black community to look at policy instead of skin color. What policies would help the black community? Because see, we know that Brandon Johnson, for example, is not the only one. We know. See, I do a lot of commentary on Brandon Johnson actually to shine a light on the Democratic Party, the Democratic leadership. The reason why Chicago is in the situations that it's in, the education is piss poor, a lot of violence in the black communities, a lot of you know, out of control youth running around downtown. And if you look at other cities that are largely Democratic, you have the same things in like California and New York. Why is that? Brandon Johnson is just a puppet. But the way that I address Brandon Johnson is, like I said, in response to how people address Donald Trump all the time. Y'all sit up here worried about what Donald Trump doing in the White House. What about what your officials like Brandon Johnson and Governor Pritzker of Illinois are doing? And doing my own research, we know who's behind the Democratic Party. We know people like George Soros have this agenda. He's bought up all the radio stations and all the media sites, all these liberal media platforms like CNN and MSNBC. He pays these people to perpetuate this Democratic agenda. Now, I'm not telling nobody to run to the Republican Party, but I have a disdain for the Democratic Party in particular, because see, they smile in your face like they're for you. In Chicago, when the last time we ever seen a Republican mayor or governor? It's been about 60 years to 70 years that we had any local leadership outside of Democrat. You don't find that to be alarming when we look at the conditions? When you hear the same songs on these radio stations over and over and over again, programming your mind, programming the youth. When you look on the television, and you see these images, over sexualized images of young women. That's by design. People like George Soros are paying people to perpetuate this because they want to destroy you, and they're using the Democratic Party to do so. Do your history. See, so often people come to me with, oh, look at this, look at that. And then they ain't even did their research. There's no reason for us to be uninformed or misinformed when information is at our fingertips with the World Wide Web. So often people bring me stuff and I can debunk it within 5 seconds because with the World Wide Web, you could look up anything. You don't even have to read a book. We have technology that the book will read itself to you. You have audio books. There's no reason to not have information. It's so frustrating. People say the president don't have power. No, the president has plenty power because we just seen Donald Trump come in and close this border and force to see a lot of them don't exercise their power. We seen the president put in executive orders that have illegal immigrants flown to El Salvador. That's power. We've seen the president of the United States implement so many different executive orders. He just said, listen, is only two genders, male and female, and that's law. That's power. So all the other SUVQTV, no disrespect to them people, but at the end of the day, Trump said no men in women's sports, and that's law. That's power. All them other presidents, they ain't exercising. They just went along with whatever the grift was. See, a lot of these people are grifters. But yeah, no, the president has plenty power. Now you got the Congress and you got Trump's advisors, his cabinet, people that give him advice and how to move. But ultimately, it's the president's call. Now, certain laws have to get passed through Congress. So there's a split in power when decisions been made. But Trump sent the United States military to close the southern border. That's power. That's power. And all you have to do, once again, is do your own research. Our people suffer for the lack of knowledge. And I want to say, man, rest in peace to Larissa Thompson out of Lancaster, South Carolina, that was unalived by those 6 illegal immigrants. If they wasn't here, that wouldn't have never happened to that sister. But you got people that would say, well, they don't, majority of them, it don't matter. All it take is one. Majority of them might be good people, but all it take is one situation where somebody has to lose their life to be like, no, we need to implement these border laws. Because that could have been any one of us. She driving down the street, somebody trying to rob her, she trying to get away, and then they, unalive her. So, Roland Martin, until you do what Danny C said and come to the city and put your foot on the ground and see and come look at these communities for yourself. How dare you say that they selling out when they trying to wake the people up to, I believe, allegedly, George Soros is behind you, Roland Martin. You sit on a platform and talk about black people that are conservative, like they sellouts. But the Democratic Party that you endorse has sold out the black community historically. So much so that I believe people are brainwashed where they don't even want to know the truth. You know how hard it is for me to have these discussions with my people, because this is the result of the Democratic stronghold on the black community. They even believe the president of the United States doesn't have any power. You've been sold this lie because, see, make no mistake, you go to a red Republican state, it's like you went to a different country. When I was truck driving, I got a chance to see the whole country. And each state is like its own country. You see the difference in how the policies of a Democratic ran state are totally different from the policies of a Republican ran state. It's a huge difference. Huge difference. That's why I have this thing, because I know it don't have to be like this. President Trump is trying to implement the Bible being taught back in schools. And I applaud that, because these young people, they need some type of understanding of a higher power than themselves. They need to have a spiritual connection to God, regardless of whatever religion you go through. Every religion is a pathway to get closer to God. And what that does is adds structure and discipline to your life. Very important to have a relationship with God. And if it's going to be Christianity or Islam or Buddhism or whatever they call that, Hinduism, I'm for it. You know, teach these children about God. The Democratic Party took God out the schools. They did that. So you got these young people running around lawless. You want to call Chicago flips red sellouts, right? But you support the Democratic Party. Your boy, Joe Biden, created the 94 crime bill that took away a lot of stand-up people in the streets of Chicago. When we had some type of structure on the streets of Chicago, the 94 crime bill took away the leaders, the real ones. Well, some of them are still just getting out of prison today from 30 years ago, 40 years ago, damn near. The 94 crime bill was a Democratic policy. Name me one piece of legislation that Donald Trump has implemented that has harmed the black community. You can't name me one. I could name you several. And I just gave you one with that 94 crime bill that Joe Biden implemented. That snatched a lot of them. Now it probably was crime going on, but they gave these brothers and sisters football numbers. And then we wonder why in the summertime, the teenagers are running rapid around Chicago on any given Saturday or Sunday. It's no leadership. At one point in the streets, the youth wouldn't have did that. They wouldn't have been out here doing all that, because you would have had people in the streets that had influence that wouldn't have never let that occur. But what did the 94 crime bill do? Took them off the streets for 3-4 decades. But Joe Biden to smile up in your face and tell Charlemagne the God, you ain't black if you don't vote for me. See, that's another thing the Democratic Party does. They pander. You know what I mean? So, no. Roland Martin, you would fit the description of a sellout because you're misinforming the black community by having them listening to you support a party that has demolished their community. You endorse the Democratic Party. You were paid by Kamala Harris. I don't know what, 15 million, 10 million, 10, $15 million to endorse Kamala Harris. And then you got the nerve to talk about Chicago Flips Red as a sellout when you sold out. Right there. You had a price on what you could see. How does a campaign run? You supposed to endorse her. You supposed to pay her money to add to her campaign, not the other way around. Roland Martin. And to me, I don't even know if that's legal. And then you telling people because you were paid to support her. You took money. Your network took money. You tried to deny it, but then they found it. Same with Oprah. Same with Beyonce. They had to pay you to support her. If that lady would have got in office, that border would still be wide open. Do you not know the Democratic Party is trying to replace you with these people? These illegal immigrants were put here to replace you. Understand that. They were brought here to replace you as a voting class. Now, people want to make it about race, but did you not know that 70 to 75% of Mexican Americans, Latino Americans voted for Donald Trump because they don't agree with illegal immigration either? Those are very conservative people. They are Catholic. They believe in God. They don't subscribe to the Democratic Party policies because the Democratic Party has went so far left. They did a lot of damage to the black community. I would blame them when I do my research. See, it's a lot of stuff I don't even come on here and talk about that I find out because it's that deep. It's that deep. The people that fund the Democratic Party are all atheists. They don't believe in God at all. And then you wonder why they had these policies that they had. I say that again. The Democratic Party is funded by billionaires that own all these radio stations and all these television shows and liberal news platforms. The people that fund them do not believe in God at all. They are atheists. Okay? They might, worship the other one. I'm just saying. But yeah, man. Rest in peace to that sister Larissa. It's your boy Jay Taylor. Voices for the Voiceless. We love y'all. Until next time, we'll talk to you soon. Peace and blessings.